In 44 BC, one of the most powerful men in the ancient world was stabbed to death by a group of senators on the steps of a temple in Rome. His name was Gaius Julius Caesar, but he is better known simply as Caesar. His conquests had made him the master of the Roman world, but it was his assassination, or rather how it reshaped the Roman Republic, that would make him a legend whose influence would outlive him for millennia. His story is one of ambition, both personal and political. As the first emperor of Rome, Caesar established the foundations of the Roman Empire, which would go on to dominate much of the civilized world for centuries, though only the second king of Rome in name. Caesar established many of the characteristics of a monarchy, while still officially maintaining the rule of the Senate. Today, we remember him for his military brilliance, but also for the chaos that he left behind in his wake. Welcome to my channel. And today, let's find out about the man who built an empire from chaos. Julius Caesar. We've re-gone now. Look at 3 events that defined his life and why, even after all these years, he is still so important to our world today. The year is 58 BC, and Julius Caesar has just been appointed governor of the province of Gaul, an area encompassing parts of modern-day France and Belgium. For 5 years, Caesar commanded the Roman legions in the region, conquering tribes and expanding Roman influence across the land. It was here where he faced some of his greatest challenges, but also where he achieved some of his greatest victories. Among the tribes that resisted Roman expansion were the Belgae, a group of fierce warriors known for their skill in battle. Despite their strength, the Belgae were eventually defeated by Caesar's forces, who went on to conquer more territories in Gaul. These military successes not only increased Caesar's power and prestige, but also greatly expanded the size of the Roman Republic. One of the most famous battles during Caesar's Gallic Wars was the Battle of Alesia, which took place in 52 BC. Here, Caesar's forces successfully laid siege to the Gallic city of Alesia, capturing it and dealing a major blow to the local tribes. This victory is often seen as a turning point in the Gallic Wars, showcasing Caesar's military genius and contributing to the eventual conquest of Gaul. But the Gallic Wars were not without their hardships. In 57 BC, Caesar's brother Lucius and 2 Roman legions were lost in a single day due to a combination of bad weather, exhaustion, and under-prepared fortifications. Despite such setbacks, Caesar's determination to expand Rome's borders remained steadfast, leading him to achieve one of the most significant military campaigns in Roman history. As Caesar continued his campaigns in Gaul, he encountered another formidable opponent, Vercingetorix, a young chieftain who united various Gallic tribes to resist Roman rule. Despite Vercingetorix's efforts, including a successful campaign to liberate much of northern Gaul from Roman control, Caesar's forces ultimately prevailed at the Battle of Gergovia in 52 BC. This battle, along with the subsequent siege of Alesia, are considered among the most complex and intense military engagements of the Gallic Wars. During these conflicts, Caesar displayed his strategic brilliance and adaptability as he devised innovative tactics to overcome the challenges posed by the Gallic warriors. He also demonstrated remarkable leadership skills as he inspired his troops to achieve victory despite immense challenges. Caesar's Gallic Wars stand as a testament to his military prowess and his unwavering determination to expand the reach of the Roman Republic. Through his conquests in Gaul, Caesar not only secured Rome's position as a dominant power in Europe, but also earned himself a place in history as one of the greatest military commanders of the ancient world. Now we have seen Caesar the conqueror. Let us see Caesar the general. What made Caesar's army so different? Well, for one, they weren't exclusively Rome. While Rome was fighting its civil wars, other Italian states like the Samnites, Lacanians, and Bruttians sent their own soldiers to fight under his banner, while others, like the Carthaginians, Gauls, and Spaniards, were taken as plunder from defeated enemies. And what about those enemies? The Romans didn't take prisoners unless they were elites that could be ransomed. Most were killed, so that meant that Caesar's soldiers were fiercely loyal, because they knew no mercy would be shown to them if they switched sides. All this led to professionalization. Soldiers stuck around for longer than the usual 3 years of service. They got married and settled down. This led to a huge decrease in the number of deserters. As a result, when an army marched out to fight for Caesar, it was led by experienced generals. Even if they weren't as old as their opposite numbers, they knew every trick in the book on how to win a war. The backbone of Caesar's army were the legions. Each one was made up of 8,000 foot soldiers and 300 cavalrymen. They were the shock troops of the Roman army, equipped with swords and shields and trained to fight in tight formations. Caesar also knew how to use the rivers. He was fond of crossing rivers with his troops. Once he even managed to cross the frozen Rhine. Why did he do this? Because it allowed him to appear in enemy territory unannounced. And once there, he used his superior logistics to set up camp and then attack. Finally, Caesar was never afraid to take risks. He loved bold maneuvers that caught his opponents off guard. Think of Hannibal crossing the Alps with an elephant. Now imagine crossing the frozen Rhine with an army and still winning the battle. That's how Caesar rolled. It's clear that Julius Caesar was a brilliant general. But now let's look at the other side of the coin. He was also a shrewd politician. In fact, the two went hand in hand. Every victory he scored on the battlefield meant more power for him in the Senate. So how did he manage to do this? For starters, he understood the importance of propaganda. After a battle, he would write accounts of them and have them distributed all over Rome. They were essentially self-serving hagiographies, but people ate them up. And this was before social media. He also knew how to manipulate the media. He arranged for public games to be held in his honor, complete with parades and fireworks. The whole thing was designed to remind the common folk of his greatness. Perhaps most importantly, though, Caesar was able to keep the Senate happy. You see, he knew that he needed their support to stay in power, so he made sure to give them plenty of chances to gloat. Whenever he won a battle, he made sure to give credit to the Senate. He also made sure to distribute the spoils of war fairly among the elite. This kept the peace in Rome while he was gone, conquering other lands. To be fair, it wasn't always easy. There were times when Caesar was forced to raise taxes or borrow money from the treasury to pay his troops. But in the end, he was always able to make it work. He even managed to avoid open warfare with the Senate, something that few Roman generals had been able to do in the past. Now that we have looked at Caesar as a politician, let us explore the infamous event that ended his life, the Ides of March. It is remembered as one of the most pivotal moments in Roman history. On that fateful day, Caesar, who had been warned of the impending danger, famously replied, "Beware the Ides of March." However, he dismissed the omen and went about his day, ultimately meeting his demise at the hands of a group of senators who believed they were acting in the best interest of the Roman Republic. Despite being betrayed by one of his close friends, Brutus, Caesar's last moments are said to have been filled with bravery and dignity. As he fell to the ground wounded, he uttered the famous words, "Et tu, Brute," expressing his astonishment and sorrow upon seeing his friend among his attackers. Caesar was ultimately stabbed more than 20 times, succumbing to his wounds shortly thereafter. The immediate aftermath of Caesar's assassination saw Rome descend into chaos, with citizens divided over the motives and consequences of the act. The conspirators, led by figures like Cassius and Brutus, attempted to justify their actions by claiming that they were restoring the Republic to its former glory, but their efforts were short-lived. The true cost of the assassination became apparent as it triggered a series of civil wars that reshaped the political landscape of the Roman world. Caesar's designated heir, Octavian, emerged victorious from these conflicts, establishing the Roman Empire and ushering in a new era of rule. In the immediate aftermath of Caesar's assassination, the conspirators were initially successful in garnering support for their actions. The Roman populace, weary of Caesar's growing power and his autocratic tendencies, seemed receptive to the idea that the Republic had been restored. Brutus, in particular, was celebrated as a hero by some for taking part in the deed. However, this initial popular support soon waned as it became evident that the assassination had not restored the Republic as many had hoped. Instead, it had plunged Rome into a period of civil war and instability. Furthermore, Caesar's designated heir, Octavian, proved to be a shrewd and ruthless leader, successfully painting the conspirators as traitors who had murdered an exemplary leader and brought ruin upon the Republic. This shift in public opinion was largely due to Octavian's effective propaganda campaign, which portrayed Caesar in a positive light and emphasized the negative consequences of his assassination. As time passed, the conspirators' hopes for a Republican restoration faded, leaving them isolated and vulnerable. Their failure to prevent Octavian's rise to power cemented their status as villains in the official narrative of Rome's history, ensuring that their names would be forever tarnished in the annals of Caesar's legacy. Today, we remember Caesar as a brilliant military commander, a shrewd politician, and a martyr for the cause of empire. His assassination is still taught in history classes around the world, and his deeds continue to inspire awe and admiration in equal measure. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know anything about Caesar before watching this video? What surprised you about him? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.